Hey everybody, this is Pure Love Talks, Season 2, Episode 5.
Hi everyone. It's been a while since we've done an episode. A lot has been going on. For those of you who are new, I'm Ignacio.
I'm Mandy.
I am the parent, and this is the
Offspring.
I'm the parental unit, and this is the offspring.
Who is also now a parental unit.
That's right. So hopefully you've been following, and you know Mandy just had a baby, Joaquin is sleeping now, so we took the opportunity to be recording right now. And today we're going to be talking about single parenthood, but before we talk about that, we just wanted to give you an update on why it's been a minute since we've done a show. Right. It was the anniversary of my dad and her grandfather's crossing over. What else happened?
We had to put our dog 7 down after 16 wonderful years.
Yes.
The anniversary of our other dog Chewy passing. Mm-hmm. Me adjusting to motherhood and teething.
Right. And just going through some mental health challenges. So I've been trying to do a lot of self-care, and that's been hard. So it took a little break, a much needed break, but we're back, and hoping that people are excited. And we always ask for people to send in questions or any comments, even if we've done an episode on a particular topic and you want to know some more about it or you have a question about it, we'd be happy to answer. So please send those in. We have our YouTube channel, Pure Love Talks, and you could also see the videos on my website, IG Rivera, that's IGRIVERA, and you can hear about the Heal Project, renewed sexuality coaching, and Pure Love Talks. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about single parenthood because it's something that Mandy wanted to talk about. She brought it up as a topic, and I thought it would be good. So tell us why you want to talk about that.
Well, I wanted to bring up single parenthood and more specifically co-parenting and how to navigate, because it's what I'm dealing with at the moment. Me and Joaquin's father are not together, so we co-parent. And there's difficult times, there's good times. Whenever you have two people trying to come together for a singular goal, you're gonna have conflicting ideas or different understandings, different ways of doing things. So sometimes it's a challenge, and sometimes it's simple. So I just wanted to talk about it because my mother was also a single parent for me as well, and how we have similar stories and different stories because they're two different men who fathered two different children. So so I just wanted to just talk about navigating co-parenting.
Well, it's funny that you said my mom is a single parent too, and it's funny because for the longest time I would reject that title. I mean, people would refer to me as a single parent. I wouldn't go crazy over it, but I like to refer to myself as an independent parent, and I think I called myself that because I don't know, I think single parent to me indicates that there's something missing, and there's such a negative thing around single parenthood. I guess very much in particular to women raising children on their own. I think it still happens to dads, but I think women are the majority, or people identified female at birth are I think the majority of people taking care of children on their own, I should say, on their own, right? Independent parent to me felt like it didn't matter whether I was with someone or wasn't. That wasn't going to change anything. And it also feels like I don't know, dare I say heteronormative? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I like to think about raising you in that, of course, I was the primary person, taking you to the doctors, making sure everything was okay, feeding you, all the responsibilities and all that. there was help from folks. So I know a lot of people that have the model of like, you know, it takes a village to raise a child, and having aunties and uncles around and all of that. Because like, what would you say to like folks or people or society at large that says, you know, like single motherhood is, and I'm saying specifically like single motherhood is basically a bad thing. That if you're a single parent and you raise a child, that child is more likely to not finish high school, probably go to prison, all these like statistical things that they say about that.
I'd say that's, excuse my language, a crock of shit. Because I'm just like, one, I'm a prime example. I turned out perfectly fine. And I know plenty of other people who turn out perfectly fine. And I think that they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're making it seem as though the childhood or their nurturing or experiences are going to be deficient because there's only one parent, and not focusing on on the love and the care that they're receiving from that one parent. And you know how one parent is better than no parents, or better than having two parents who are not healthy or well or taking care of you well because they're not well together, you know, like So I think that they're focusing on things that are less important and about an image rather than the actual care of a child. Because you could have a two-parent household and they can both be addicts, not paying attention to their kids, and their kids end up in jail anyway. And then you have a single parent who's very attentive and, you know, very loving and nurturing, and they have a good relationship, and their kid gets a PhD or something. So you know, it does, every case is different, but to generalize is really, really silly.
I mean, I agree. I don't think that generalization is true at all. And I think that even when people are identified or call themselves single parents, that I would hope that there are people around them that are helping from time to time. Of course, there are a lot of instances where people do not get that help. So to me, when I hear things around statistics around single parents, like or single mothers, it's like a fast track to, you know, being poor or not being educated, teen pregnancy, all that stuff. I feel like, just like you said, Mandy, that they're concentrating on the wrong thing. What they're doing is, you know, statistics is about how you analyze this stuff, right? I don't think it's about the one parent. It's about how society views that one parent and how they're treated, and what are the resources available, and how we have really like pushed away this idea of creating our own family units. I think we're actually more in a place that we're seeing lots of more, you know, different kinds of family structures, people creating their own idea of what a family is and how to raise children together, which I think is great. And so it's almost a rejection to me. All of these things is almost a rejection of, if you are not in a heterosexual, heteronormative, married, you know, couple with, you know, raising a child, then all will fail. Yeah,
society mainly cares about the image and not the child at all. In many instances, I don't think they really care about the children, just about how it looks.
Right, it's this idea that, like, this is what the family is supposed to look like. But we know now that we have so many different kinds of families right now, different gender, sexual orientations, like just everything, different mixed families is what we call them. So people who adopt, people who are surrogates, people, you know, there's so many different ways right now. But that idea still stands in that language of single parenting or single parented is really interesting to me, especially as a person who now in my life, maybe, you know, earlier in my life I had different ideas and now I've shifted, but a person who I personally don't believe in marriage for myself. I can absolutely honor anyone who wants to be married, and that is their right to have that, and you know, enjoy it and celebrate it, and I can be there celebrating that as well, but I wouldn't want that for myself, right? So I don't think of myself as single or a single parent, because that language doesn't fit the way I live my life, right? So when I think about that, then, because we're talking about this idea of single parenting and then co-parenting, which you're going to be doing, which I didn't have the privilege of doing. I had relationships here and there with folks that did help out here and there, but a consistent, you know, person in my life that was like, you know, but So if we're talking about it this way, as adults taking care of children and what society sees as these family structures, then how do we talk to kids about this stuff, right? Because like when Joaquin starts going to school and stuff like that, right?
Different types of families.
Because this is when they start getting socialized in school and stuff. This is, of course, when there's like, where's your dad, or does your dad live with you, or stuff, right? Like the way I'm so hoping that by the time he gets to school, the school system has had like different ways of talking about families and stuff. Yeah, like how would you talk to him about you and La and how co-parenting is happening, and do you have models for them?
I honestly, I didn't really think about that yet, but I would, if he, whenever he has any type of questions, I'll answer. But I know that I would just explain to him like, like sometimes things just don't work out. Sometimes, like I'll try to give him an example. Like, say you have a friend at school, and whenever you guys are together working on a project or something, you guys don't have the same ideas, and you guys end up getting frustrated because you can't work well because you have different ideas.
Right.
So you chose to have a different partner for the project, even though that's your friend. Like, I'll say that's your friend. It's like, even though that's your friend, doing certain projects together it's not good for you. Like I try to give him a comparison so he could like process, depending on how old he is. But I would also make sure that I explain to him very explicitly that just because me and his father aren't together, that we're any less of a family or any less filled with love, and that there's no animosity, there's no anger. It's just the way it is. And then
also the different units that he have, because there's you, me, and Joaquin together, we're a family. And then there's you and Joaquin and La. That's, you have different families. And I keep thinking about when you were little, the big thing was about, Heather has two mommies and the daddy machine and stuff like that, like talking about gay parenting. Now we're,
it's different now.
Right now, this is like 29 years later. We've been talking about queer parenting for a while, so this should not be new. Maybe the trans and gender nonconforming parenting is a little new right now, but we've been talking about this for a while. So I got you those books, like all these, the few books that were out when you were little, to show you about different families and stuff. And so now there are a plethora of books now that really talk about kids that are adopted or insemination process, or
there's all types.
Yeah, like children from a previously heterosexual marriage that now are
differently able children, everything. Yeah.
So that I like that. So I keep thinking that's a great way to have Joaquin just learn about different families in general, so that, because if you're teaching the same cookie cutter thing, especially with the our fairy tales and stories that we say and we regurgitate over and over and over, we don't have to say that having a mommy and daddy are the best thing. They see it everywhere. It's in every story, it's in everything, right? So we have to be mindful about the books that we read, the things that we see, and also the conversations, because I think a lot of people just miss that. And like sometimes we say, well, if they ask me anything, I'll let them know. But I also think it's like our job to be like,
to come to them first.
Yeah, like, tell me about your friends. Like, who are your friends, and who do they live with, right? And
what do their families look like?
Right, having a conversation about all the different families, how they look, and, talking about different friends and stuff. So just to get a broader, and not just about families, cultures. And,
everything.
Yeah, all of it.
But, the interesting thing is, like, because of having you as an example and you as a mom, I never, like, single mom was never like a dirty term for me.
Right.
And when I was younger, I remember always saying, I want to be a single mom too, like, because it was just not like, it wasn't scary to me, because I like I know, like, in like, okay, so my cousin, when she had her first child, her and the father ended up breaking up after the baby was born, I think, or before. And she was so distraught. Like, I wanted her to be in a 2-parent household, and I wanted her to do, and I was just like, But that's not what's important. I was like, what's important is she has a roof over her head, food in her stomach, clothes on her back, and a mom that loves her and cares for her, and she sees all that love, and she's, you know, like, well-rounded and stuff. I was like, that's not what's important. And I'm like, for me, if, like, the thought about it, it's like, of course, you know, nobody wants to do it alone. But I was always like, if that were to happen, I'm fine with that. You know, like...
But you wouldn't be alone.
Yes. I'm never alone. But, you know, it's like, if I didn't have 100% all the time second parent involved, then I would still be okay, because I had a good example on how to just get things done by yourself, and you know, it wouldn't be the end of the world for me. My kid will still be loved and happy and healthy. So I was, you know, prepared for either outcome.
It would be nice if it were different. I hope that it's becoming a different world in which that, like, these conversations wouldn't even be a thing, because everyone would just pitch in. Like you saying to me the other day, she says to me, you know, can you babysit? And I remember saying, you don't ever ask me to babysit. Like, that, to me, that seems ludicrous. Like, I am caring for my grandchild. Of course, if I'm not busy, if I'm home, I'm not traveling for work or whatever, you just ask me to care for my grandchild, because that, I believe that that's a part of my duty, right? Just like it's your duty to be his mother and care for him and make sure that he is okay. If we had different people, and I'm saying this now as a revelation later on in life, because I definitely could have been better as well with my nieces and nephews. There are some nieces and nephews that I you know, have saw more when they were little, and then time goes on, and it's like it's work, and it's intentional work to like try to be a part of a kid's life. And I didn't know I really didn't see the importance of it, or like the true importance of that connection was, whether it is a biological mother or father, or if it's an uncle or an adoptive parent. It's just like the love that's surrounded by a kid, especially a kid knowing that they have people that they can trust and go and talk to, right? Nobody's that's gonna, you know, shoo them away and not listen to what they have to say. So those are the people that I wanted you surrounded with. And I want absolutely the same for Joaquin.
He already has so many people who love him, and I'm so grateful for that too. Like, in 2 different states, well, multiple states, but the 2 main states, you know, Maryland and New York, he has family, chosen family, and so much love surrounding him. So I'm very blessed about that. But in regards to co-parenting, because me and Joaquin's dad live in 2 different states, sometimes it can get difficult. We have different communication styles, and you know, different experiences with children. So, you know, sometimes that can come up when we're talking about certain things that pertain to him. Sometimes, you know, there may be friction. So it gets difficult here and there, but, you know, it's an ongoing process that we're going to have to continuously work at, because this is basically the rest of our lives.
Right.
Like, until Joaquin is an adult and he can be like, actually, I don't need this, or I don't, you know, like, I don't need your advice on this, then, you know, but I mean, still, being a parent never ends. So I might still be like, hey, Joaquin said he was doing this. How do you feel about that? So, you know, like, I might still do that. But overall, this is going to be a lifelong partnership that we have. So it's a learning process to learn each other, and learning each other as parents, because dating somebody is different than being a parent with somebody. There's somebody else that we have to think about. We have mutual goals that we both want to reach when it comes to him, and we just want to see him be well-rounded and happy and healthy and smart and growing and everything. So as long as I feel like co-parenting could be successful, as long as both parents have the same goal in mind, and they're willing to compromise, to negotiate, to speak calmly, and to really listen, you know, because you never, you know, like, kids, you never know what you're going to get, kind of. It's like a mystery box. You're just like, yeah, I know it's a box, but what's inside the box, and what's going to happen once I open this box? Yes. So, you know, like, and things change drastically. Like, literally one day Joaquin woke up and he just started baby talking, and the day before he wasn't. So, and then one day he just started cracking up. So, you know, like, and then he just started crawling. So it's just, every day is a different situation, a different story, and we have to deal with that accordingly.
But you know what, so I'm thinking too about, like, quickly, like, co-parenting, everything you said, you know, communication style, that's really important. And it, like, what if that, you know, you don't have that, and which is really, really rough, right? Because co-parenting can sound really amazing when you work at it, right? Because you are probably the luckiest person if you don't have to work at it. If you and your ex are friends, that's a beautiful thing, and you can just do it, no problem. But then there are times where the breakup was for a reason, right? That there was some conflicting ideas, and so if you're having conflicting ideas in a relationship, imagine of like raising a child. So that doesn't make anybody bad or good. It just, people have different ideas. And when you've never done it before, right? That's just like a lot of new things you're learning at the same time. So it's like everybody is like doing it at the same time, learning and
all three of us are growing together.
Right. So it's good that the both of you are really trying to work at that because there's so many people that just feel like, I'm out of here. You pregnant? Bye. You know, or I don't want this baby, you know, or I can't do this. And that's no shade to anybody, because everybody has their own experience and their own story and their own decisions they have to make and their own path, right? Yeah, so it's great when that happens. When it doesn't, that can be a really big problem. One of the things that I used to say about, I have to say that I loved being an independent parent. I really did. There were so many times where things were rough as hell. I mean, rough. And we made it. And we did it, and I think Mandy and I, our relationship was really good and close, especially when she was little. We had so much time together, and the thing that I loved about it was that I had a clear way of how I wanted to raise my daughter, and I didn't have to put it by anybody. I didn't have to negotiate with anybody. I didn't have to do anything. Okay, you know, there's some good to that, and the bad part to it is that Mandy didn't get to grow up with her father, right? For whatever reason, those things, you know, happen. So that, you know, there's some nice good things about it, and there's some really horrible things about it. But I do have to say that I like that I was able to talk to you about activism, politics, queerness, polyamory, sex, all of these things. And I'm sure, knowing the person that he is, we would have fights and arguments constantly about the content of things that I was teaching her, which I felt very strongly about. There was no budging me on that. So that was a plus for the independent parent side, you know, but, you know, we could see the pros and cons to both sides. I just want the weight of the cons to just lift a little bit more from the, you know, independent or single parent side, because I think it is, I know it is possible to do it and do it very successfully. It's society and the world
that makes it difficult.
Yes.
More difficult.
Yes. So, any parting words as we say our farewells?
Well, I just advice as a learning, growing parent. Just make sure that above anything else you do, every decision that you make for your child is done with complete 100% unselfish love. It has nothing to do with you. It's all about their well-being, their benefit, their growth. Doesn't matter how you feel about it. Just make the decision with, you know, good intentions for your child.
And I'd like to say too, like, whether you are an independent single parent or in a marriage partnership or anything like that, when it's about raising children, especially the information that we want to bestow to children, it's particularly around this topic that we talk about as sex education and all that. No matter who you are and what kind of family structure you have, you really want to be thinking about what are you going to be talking to your kids about, like values, right? So like when we think about people getting together, me included, getting together, getting pregnant with someone, and then like not even once thinking about what are the values that I have, what are the values that you have, do they coincide so that we can raise a child with these similar values? What are those values? Maybe it's the first time you've asked yourself that. What are the values you want to bestow on your child, right? To me, it's about, if you have a strong foundation of values or even an idea of it, you don't have to have it concrete or anything, like, what kind of person do I want to put in the world? What kind of person do I want to raise? What kind of person do I want to support and love? I think if you think about that really well, hopefully, you will have 2 people, 3 people, 1 person, you know, coming to a decision about what's the best thing for the child, just like you said, best thing for the child.
The children is the most important part of that whole equation.
All right. So remember, again, send us questions. Thank you so much for all your support.
Yes.
And we will see you next time, hopefully next month.
Yes.
For Pure Love Talks. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. We want to be able to I hate that I messed that part up.
Oh, now you're gonna have to edit.
Yeah, I know. What was I saying? I was saying, God damn it.
The last few minutes.
I had a good thing in my head. Wait a minute.
So I said, do everything with love. Lead with love.
Oh, okay.